the world that we're in, the times we're in, I heard this a few days ago talking with a friend. It's just a puzzle, and we're just trying to put all the puzzle pieces together of our experience, and see like what it's going to make. Like, what are all these pieces? And you get a piece and you kind of turn it and see if it fits, like Tetris, is basically like a puzzle. You see all these pieces, and unfortunately, the puzzle we have is like the population of Earth, like 2 billion. There's 2 billion puzzles out there, and all these pieces. And so you're finding different pieces. Like, well, this piece doesn't maybe fit this picture that's supposed to be my finished product. You don't throw that piece away. You don't talk down to that puzzle piece. You just put it back, and you just kind of keep going forward. Things like this, and you talking about growing up in Europe. I'm assuming it was either Moldova or Italy, where you went to school.
Mainly Moldova, but I lived in 2 Eastern European countries. Majority of my life I lived in Moldova. Then I lived in Armenia because of my father is from Armenia and his family is there. I went there to school and experienced their culture and their rules and everything that is connected to that country. Then when I was 17, and I was not a teenager anymore, I guess, but like around that time, my family moved to Italy, and I spent 5 years there studying, and then I came back to Moldova again. So I did it all together, spend most of my life in Moldova, but now it's been 8 years since I live in America, and having experienced this 4 completely different countries, 4 completely different cultures and perspectives on life, completely different, new language, new everything. I think I learned a lot. I think that helped me be who I am for sure, because I've seen such diversity and I experienced it. It's not like I just traveled and seen it. It's completely different when you travel, which is super awesome. Everybody should travel, see different worlds and see what's out there, and not live in only your own little bubble. It's not easy, but it's also not that difficult. But actually living in different countries, which is something a little bit more complex, right, will definitely teach you a lot of lessons. Good, bad, necessary, unnecessary, but yeah, it's a lot.
Well, that's amazing. Did you have to learn Italian when you suddenly were living there, or did you sort of know some Italian? So you were dropped into a new country. I'm a teenager, or 17, 18. Here you go, figure it out.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I will.
And you did pretty well for yourself.
I mean, it was very hard. I
Right,
was
sure.
so frustrated, and I definitely didn't. I kind of had to move against my will because my family had to move, and I didn't really want to move at that age anymore because I already had a job. I was already a hairdresser. I was in a last year of high school, so I had already plans. It was like somebody was breaking all my plans, all my reality, all of a sudden, when I put so much effort into it, to build it, to walk towards it and stuff. But then, I'm happy I did listen to my mom, and I gave it a try, because she said, listen, before you hit 18, I would insist that you try this new country with this new culture. If you don't like it anymore, you can always come back. But at least you come, under family circumstances, because when you're 18, you will have to do it by yourself, because that's how the laws requires them, like paper-wise and stuff like that,
right.
visas and rights to be there. So I'm happy I did listen, because I've learned a lot. Italy has a very special place in my heart still. I love it. I will not choose to live there for my life preferences, for sure, but I love visiting. I love being there. I love the culture. I love the language. I love the people, everything. Just same as Moldova. same as you know, I love, you know, many things about the culture. I absolutely love Moldovan nature, and there's many things I miss about Moldova, but I still don't feel comfortable living there.
Right.
You know.
Oh, your mom, we need to give a shout out to your mom. She just sounds amazing. She did so well with you. And your sister, I don't know her name, but
Emily.
Emily. Emily, listen to your mom. Listen to your older sister. Like seriously, like
Now she
whatever's
won't
in.
want to. You said that out loud.
Oh, okay. Don't listen to your mom because it's
Uh,
working. It's working so well for you now.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe people that are closer to her age that sort of give referrals, so to speak, or make suggestions can be helpful. I don't know. I'm some random person that just is lucky enough to know your sister and be inspired by her music and her art, and got a chance to talk to her. So don't listen to me at all. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's right.
No, it's very, I don't know if you guys have children of your own. I don't, and it's probably way different when you are a parent. But yeah, it's challenging in general to just witness, you know, this certain things like that. And as I said, she is absolutely great, and I love her very much. I just get mad at her when she hurts my mom. That's all.
Right. Sure. One of Jack's quotes, I'll probably butcher it, but it's nothing easy is ever worth doing.
Yep.
When I saw that quoted by him, I was like, why don't more people understand this and live by this? And it can apply to every single aspect of your life. And I'm sure some of this, talking about moms, is Jack's mom did a good job with him and made him smart and appreciative and come up with, you know, super cool things to put on a message board post or something to get quoted by other people. But you know, everything's going to be a lot of work if it's worth having being done at the end.
Yeah.
And we all just got to keep working and keep grinding and, you know, trying to do the best we can and keeping that circle and that family close and those relationships close, but also not being afraid. Fear is a huge motivator to cause negative feelings and to cause anxiety. And just from day one, it's different. No, it's not different, excuse me, where you're brought up, like you were talking about your schooling. So it's global. We're taught the same thing here in the States. The schools across the pond, so to speak, everything in Europe, it's not teaching like these emotional values and this respect, and self is not this great thing. It's cookie cutter. It's like you do this, you do this, you do this, you move on. And globally, I think people need to be taught more the mental side of things and the more spiritual thing, not where it's a control. Like here in the States, religion is absolute control machine. People get into a lot of religion and spirituality for the right reasons, but too many top of the food chain representatives, so to speak, it's just a control, and it's taking someone's vulnerability of needing spirituality or wanting a bigger connection or a higher power connection and manipulating it. And that unfortunately is global as well. But something as simple as what you're saying in music are like these hidden gems, just like Jack's music. Like his singer Adrian is putting little hidden gems of things in music that people can hear, and it's not being preachy. Like you know, you said something about, you know, you got into what your lifestyle is and aren't forcing it on anyone. You know, and you're smart enough to realize you can't force something onto somebody. I learned this early on because I was vegetarian for a couple years and got so turned off by militant people that I gave up on it, you know. And it took years, and honestly, musicians, people I looked up to, being like, this person here looks the way they look, they're doing what they're doing, and they have this lifestyle. And they're not out there saying, well, if you don't do this, you're the worst person on the planet. Like you're
Yeah, and also
terrible.
there should not be drastic rules. Like for example, you know, like the rules of, let's talk about coffee, for example. Yeah, because you're drinking coffee. There you go.
My cold brew is now lukewarm room temperature brew, but it's still
Yeah,
good.
perfect. Still
It's
good.
Cafe Loco, Lena
Yeah.
Scissorhands' personal choice for coffee. While you mentioned coffee, real quick,
Yeah.
All Friends Animal Sanctuary, Lena takes no cut in every bag that's sold. She's like, I want you to give 100%, which is 50% of the profit, all goes to All Friends Animal Sanctuary. And so we were able to, this past December, they do a adoption where they get turkeys and they want people to adopt, and they can have as many people adopt. So we sent them $100 and adopted 4 or 5 turkeys, and that came directly from the coffee sale. So something as simple as that, she's choosing to make a difference. We, with our tiny little contribution, are making a difference to the sanctuary that's providing a home in Las Vegas, of all places, where it's very hot, it's very humid, animals need so much more in that environment. But we're able to do that. So I just wanted to say a quick shout out. Thank you, Lena, for doing that and
Thank you
offering
for
everything.
offering this opportunity. I always wanted to be part of something like that, and it was always very difficult for me to actually find time into creating something unique that I could donate or do for animals. And when you came out with that idea, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to do what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to help animals. It's just physically, I wish we had 36 hours at least in a day instead of 24. That way I could have, you know, spend more time with animals and stuff. But yeah, talking about what I just said before, like everything in balance, just like your lifestyle, right? You're like, okay, but life is too short to not enjoy, you know, the things you want to enjoy, like you know, I don't know, a meal that has all kinds of things that are bad for you, but you like it so much, right? Or coffee, we like it so much, right? Like for example, I know people that have exaggerate with coffee, and they can have up to, I don't know, 10 coffees a day.
Wow.
And you know, there's a balance. You don't have to necessarily give up on certain things you love, you know. Like I have 1 coffee a day. I do sometimes little things, like I will have a second coffee a day that is less strong, just because I feel like I need it, because I was born with super low blood pressure, and it really physically helps me to not have that pressure in my head and heaviness in my head. To, instead of taking pills, I choose to take caffeine with, you know, a good coffee that I of my choosing, and I go through life like that. But I also absolutely love the taste of coffee. The ritual in the morning of the smell of the coffee in my kitchen, and the actually warm, you know, coffee with a little bit of vegan milk. It's perfect. It is. I love it. And I won't lie, Italy spoiled me with very good coffee, and it's very difficult for me to say no. Same with like alcohol. Let's say this. I'm not promoting alcohol by any means. I know how bad it is for you. But if you drink alcohol occasionally and you don't overdo it for your body, and you actually enjoy a good drink, which has a lot of, like, a good drink that you can choose that costs you maybe a little bit more money, but you don't overuse. You instead of drinking a half bottle, you can drink 1 or 2 glasses, like, or shots, or whatever it is that your drink of choice is, right? I do like to enjoy a good glass of wine, again, thanks to Italy and Moldova, because both countries have very good wine. But I don't like to overdo it. Like, I don't like the sensation of being drunk at all. And I'm trying to avoid it at any cost, to be honest, because I like the taste. I like the ritual of celebrating with a glass of something that you really enjoy. I like the anticipation of that as well, you know? So it's this little things that we can, like, do for ourselves as a reward, you know. The only thing that I don't do I don't do any exceptions is my dietary choice with vegan you know, lifestyle that I'm trying to keep up with for the past 8 years now.
Awesome.
I haven't been a
Yay.
vegetarian before. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
years, but I see a big difference for sure. I have no exceptions there. However, again, vegan food does not equal good food for you. I mean, good for you, like
Like
or
healthy. It's not the
like
same as healthy.
healthy.
Right.
No,
Sure.
it's not. So a lot of vegan people can also have health problems and sugar problems and all kinds of problems that people that don't do vegan food have as well, right? So like in my case, I try to eat extremely healthy because I actually really enjoy the taste of raw vegetables, raw fruit with nothing on top of them. I'm just eating them like this, you know, like those are my candies. Like I love berries. I almost never don't have berries in my fridge because that's my candy. I don't necessarily have a sweet tooth for desserts necessarily. I don't mind sometimes once in a while to have some desserts, but I don't crave them as much as I crave to bite on an apple that is so satisfying, you know, or like to
Right.
have berries or something like that. Or sometimes I even make my own desserts that are sugar-free, you know, gluten-free, and I make them myself in the house because I love cooking as well. So what I'm trying to say is there's also there's limitations that we all can have, like no matter what lifestyle we have, no matter what we prefer having, drinking, eating, consuming, or feeling, you know, like a lot of people are very addicted to massages, right? And they are so good for you. But if you do them like literally like all the time, you're going to lose that sensation of, oh, this is a treat for me today. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if we treat ourselves with the same thing too often, it will lose that charm. So for people that prefer having alcohol every day, even if it's in very small quantities, you lose that treat sensation from you know that or whatever, or the cup of coffee that you are abusing and having 10 a day instead of having, you know, a little bit less, because it's not that good for you to have that much caffeine in your body. No matter how strong your heart and body is, you know, it's still an addictive thing, you know. And caffeine is not only in coffee, is in tea, is in all the sodas that Americans love so much.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's like a caffeine measuring contest. Like that's the new how you show your machoism is how much caffeine something has. Like it amazes me when I see a company's like our such and such has the most caffeine. I'm like, that's terrible. Like there's positive health benefits to small amounts of caffeine. Like doctors and research shows today, I know it changes all the time, but you know, certain amounts, just like with wine, there's health benefits to, okay, well, I can have a glass of wine every other day or 2 glasses with a meal. So all of these things that people don't treat like a treat, it becomes like an indulgence. And it's also addiction is very heavy.
Absolutely. And addiction, what is addiction? It's a mental thing that we think we cannot live without. I'm sorry. It's the same with everything. You know, sex, porn, all those things are out there for everybody to enjoy, right? And let's talk about it openly. It's an addiction. However,
right. Yeah. There's
if you use it and
on it.
you're if you don't abuse it and you're not constantly addictive to this visual thing, you know, and you need porn in order to get ready to have sex. Like, what is that even? Like, who invented that even? Like, when I hear people say that I need that visuals to get ready, use your imagination or talk to your partner about what you need, and maybe it's super easy for her or him to give it to you.
Right.
You know?
It's the desensitization Again, I'm a music-y, so they have foodies, you have arties, you have all these things. The Tool song Stink Fist, it's
Yep.
about exactly what you said. It's you get to the point where the things that you needed before don't cut it, so you keep going and going and going and going. And I think that's a big problem with Hollywood and anyone of this elite economic level of person. They've gotten to the point where everything is not enough anymore, and where their minds go because they have the financial means has created this monster in our society of things going on that only happens because these people can afford it. Two, laws don't really affect what they do, but their addictions are so high. Going back to that song, it's like you've got to the point, like, what can you keep giving yourself as a stimulant to get off? And unfortunately, we've lost so many musicians from this. You know, Michael Jackson, Prince, you know, Elvis. You go down the line, Wayne Static. It's universal. You get to the point, and people aren't taught this. You know, going back to something you said, Lena, it's like there's no one teaching us this stuff. We have to find out for our own which paths are good and are gonna give us a positive feeling and which aren't. And hopefully our parents raised us to the point where our consciousness makes these decisions to say, well, if I have 5 gallons of coffee, I'm going to have a problem. And I hit this wall myself because I taste and test all the coffees myself that I'm going through. And I think one day I had maybe 2 gallons of coffee. And I've never done hard, like cocaine or those type of drugs. But from what I've talked to people, like, I was at that level, like my brain was racing, and you know, I couldn't control shaking, and I couldn't focus on anything. And I basically called my brother. I'm like, hey man, I can I drink too much coffee? Like, this is really going to do something, because I was scared. I'm not going to Google this. I'm not going to call 911. But my older brother is like, between me and my brother, we know everything. Someone asked me a question, I'm like, oh, my brother knows the answer to that. So he's like my go-to, just like your, older siblings. Typically, there's certain things you want to talk to them about. And he told me, he's like, man, he's like, you're fine. He's like, you need to drink some water. He's like, drink a equal amount, maybe half amount of water. He's like, this happened to me on water. He was a designated driver for a friend's bachelor party, and they were going to strip clubs like bachelors do on their, their parties. And they went to, like, maybe, let's say 10 strip clubs, and he was just drinking water all night, drinking water. And at the end of the night, he was like, they had to get someone else to drive. Like, they had to call somebody. He's like, I drank so much water, I feel drunk right now. And he's like asking his buddies, he's like, did you guys spike my water? Did you put something there? Like, no, we were, at the stripper pole or whatever all night. And that's what had happened to him. He drank so much water, like anything, it dilutes so you have your blood alcohol level. You have like a water blood ratio, like 80% of your body is water. But if that number gets too high, like for him, he's like, it wasn't good. And he was worried about it.
So it's really interesting, because I know how it feels when all you ingest is water, because I do water fasting often.
Right.
And it's different. I don't know if he had food with it all night or not, but the thing is, the bigger I think factor here was the not sleeping all night and going, like, you're going all night, even if you're not taking anything that stimulates you, like alcohol or any type of drugs that are good and bad for you, because like we talked about caffeine or other things, right? If you're not used to it and you're going all night without sleep, and you're only drinking water really, but you're forcing your body to stay awake, it's hard. It's hard, if especially if you don't do that often, you know. So it could be a combination of both, but absolutely you're right. You know, we overdo it with food, you know, that we overdo it with many things. You know, there's people that are workaholics that do not enjoy life no matter how hard they try, because they always work, and work is so prioritized in their life that they don't even remember when was the last time that they relaxed for a second or watched a movie. So what I guess we are all trying to say here to everybody that is listening is that find the balance that works well for you between your addictions, no matter how good or bad those addictions are for you, no matter how legal or illegal those are for you, because we are not authorities here, and no one is really to tell you what to do with your own
Right.
life. It's only you
Absolutely.
that makes that choice.
Well put. That's a excellent closure, if you will, to the topics. What was supposed to be a quick shot of in and out has turned into just enlightenment on my side of the screen here. How about you, Jack? How you feeling now?
Yeah, same. I just thank you so much for giving us so much extra of your time than we had planned on. It was really great talking to you, and
Thank you.
uh,
Nice
yeah,
meeting.
I feel more enriched just having gone through that.
Yeah, the boost gumps, as we call them here, are present, and it's a feeling of just thankfulness for me. Not that I'm cutting you off at all, Lena. We're here as much as your time permits. I know you had allocated a certain time, but just honestly, listening to what you have to say. First of all, we never discussed things with Jack, like of having someone back to talk to us. You a number one anytime if you're ever available to just hang out and chat and talk and enrich everyone, and not just you know, musicians, because the things we all sort of talked about, it's like life improvement sort of thing.
Absolutely.
It's just amazing to, you know, because you know, we all have our perception of people, as I'm sure you do of myself and Jack, and I never ever would have thought as much of you before as of now.
Thank you so
So
much.
thank you
Of
so
course.
much.
I
Like
learned a lot today as well.
yeah, you're doing and saying everything right, and I can confirm via your social medias at least, you walk the walk, as you say. Like I just saw the other day, like you have the ability in Vegas to grow your own fruit. You can walk outside and you have an apple tree, and I've seen you like, oh, I got an apple, check it out. People don't have that. Like how much would everybody feel better if they could wake up, walk outside, and be like, you know, this is my breakfast here, and for lunch I'll go over here, and you know, I follow Vidic as well. I have the utmost respect for him being raw vegan, and I talked about Jack this before, and Simon, we talked to last week, the Simon McKay, the drummer from Canada, he's also vegan, and it's like, man, I respect raw vegan so much. It's like I gotta have that warm sandwich. I gotta have that pasta and things like
But
that.
again, what is
You
that?
know,
What is that? That again is a habit or an addiction that we have. Is it necessary for us to survive? Not really. So that was a choice of his to choose to still experiment with raw cuisine. I learned a lot from him. I'm a very happy that I have this person in my life. We know each other half our lives now. I think I was 16 when I met him. He was already a musician in a band at the time from my country, and we just, you know, became closer and closer throughout the time. And then we created the band, and I've learned a lot from Vidic for sure, and I'm very happy to have him as a friend in my life. You know, he's very different than me, but we also have so much in common, you know, and every single time I go back to Moldova to work with the band, our rehearsing studio is actually in his house. So I often get to taste a lot of cool recipes of raw vegan, and I get to learn a lot. And in fact, even though I'm not raw vegan, but I do a lot of cooking based on raw rules. Like, for example, you can dehydrate fruits or vegetables, or whatever you can dehydrate and make into a cool snacks or chips, or even I don't know, buns for sandwiches, or crackers. You can do in a dehydrator on super low temperatures that are safe for raw vegans, and they save all the ingredients, all the fiber, all the vitamins, all the nutrition. And it's the same as eating it raw. So I learned that from him, for example, and I do it in my kitchen. It doesn't require as much effort as we think. It just requires time, but machines do it for you. You just put it in there and leave it work. And in certain amount of time, depending on what you're cooking, it's going to be ready. But you preserved all the good stuff. Or instead of buying canned food, you can slow cook your beans and your legumes. You can slow cook them at super low temperature and have them almost as raw vegans can have them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a choice that you can make, and you can still have a very healthy vegan diet by knowing all this super cool life tricks that in the time we live in, everything is out there for you to invest, and it doesn't cost you as much money as you think. You invest one time, and then you never invest in your health problems, pills. Yes, I take some supplements when I'm on tour, vitamins and supplements to be even stronger. But in my everyday life, I never do it. And honestly, in all these years, I was 29 when I chose to be vegan. This year, I will be 37, and I feel better than I used to feel before. And in all this time, I never even got a cold once.
Wow, that's awesome.
I had food poisoning because the food was very old on tour. Some food was provided to us. I did have, tonsillitis because I used to have very big problems with my tonsils, and now I removed them. But I had that. I had certain, unpleasant sensations with my body that were outside of what I could do. But like a cold or something else like this, even my own family, my own sisters and my mother, every single time I contact them, somebody had the cold. Somebody has the cold all the time. And taking all these pills affects your, health. And then taking all these antibiotics affects your health. So these are choices. Yes, maybe, some people can be there and be like, okay, whatever, you're preaching this, vegan lifestyle, or you're talking so highly about this vegan lifestyle, but you're not talking about the prices that fruits and vegetables have here in America, which is very true. Fruits and vegetables in America are way overpriced. There's no explanation of why these fruits and vegetables should cost that much.
Right. It's well, the reason I can tell you is natural foods are subsidized for the government. So that's how we can have a 99-cent burger, is because the government's paying those prices down for that industry, for the food industry of factory farming, which drives those prices.
And see, I'm saying I'm learning a lot from you. I did not know these things.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things going on with farmers. I don't want to. I can get preachy.
We can get into this another
That's a whole nother
episode.
And Jack's
we'll do a whole other episode with only preaching for people.
Sure. But again, this is not about preaching. It's about
education and sharing.
It's definitely about something that I've been encountering a lot, where people are like, yeah, but it's so expensive to eat the way you eat. Yeah, but it's so expensive to put all this money towards all the vitamins and all the medication that you take. Like, I literally know
healthcare is a big one here. It's so expensive.
I know people that walk around with a separate bag of vitamins, supplements, and pills they have to take every day because they don't feel good. And they really don't feel good. It's not like it's psychosomatic. It's the damage on their body that has been done throughout the years is big enough for them to require, you know, allergy medicine, you know, whatever, like medication to help you digest better, medication to help you sleep better, medication to help you poop better, medication for everything.
Right.
Like, how
right.
about just clean your body, clean your brain, and start giving your body the medication from the nature? Because all this vitamins and all this medication, we have it. It's out there. It's out there. We just have to learn what we need based on our lifestyle, on our age, on our ethnicity, on things, yeah, problems that we have. Some people are born with a lot of issues that they can't unfortunately avoid, you know. So based, as I said, I'm unique, you're unique, everybody's unique, and they might need different things, not the same that I do, you know. So basically, I guess the moral of the day is find what works best for you, but think smart, because medication is not best for you.
No, for sure. Like you reminded me of a video Infected Rain did like their tour diary, and you were backstage somewhere in Europe and you had your pill box and you're like, these are pills I take on the road, which you just said. And I'm like, I know that's true. And you're like, this is vitamins, you know, and this is this. And you're like, they're not drugs. I promise you, I'm not taking drugs right now. And it was so funny because people are thinking that, like, oh, she's got an upper in there and there's probably something to give her a little more energy, and then something that's going to calm her down a little bit, because the history of our industry is abuse times 1,000 on all of the different things outside of you that could alter your mood. And it's like, you don't need any of that. Like being on stage, like I've played on such a smaller scale than both of you, obviously, but even the little 5 minutes that I played on a stage in front of, say, 10,000, 5,000 people, like that's the highest high I've ever felt. Like a drug didn't do that. Food maybe close. Food addiction is just as influential to me as a drug, and some foods cause the same reaction as, like, say, heroin and cheese and casein. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's even it might be even more dangerous because it's like you don't have to feel like morally bad about it in theory. Like, you know, societally, nobody's like, oh, you're addicted to cheeseburgers, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, it's almost encouraged.
It's hard for me to watch commercials now where it's like someone's eating this thing and it's every different animal part and every different cheese.
It's hard for me too,
And I understand, because I ate that stuff for a long time.
Me too.
I've only been hardcore vegan for like 7 years, but it was easy. I woke up on Thanksgiving in 2017 and I was like, I can't eat animals anymore. I just can't do it. And then I immediately started researching dietary things, because of course I always was told you have to have ABCD, you can't live this lifestyle. And then I see someone like Derek Green, as massive as that dude is.
Thank you. He's amazing.
He's vegan. He's into
the
it.
best example for a healthy, you know, like you say, big person, especially like he breaks all this how to say, like cliche
stereotypes. The
stereotype where there's like a man should eat meat, you know, like a man should not live a day without a piece of meat. Like, okay, look at this person. He, like, I told him when I invited him to my to do my podcast as well.
Right. That was a great episode. I was like glued to the screen. Like,
I had to ask, what is your secret? You look amazing. He looks amazing. He does not look a year older than, I don't know, 40. He just doesn't.
Right. He looks younger than all the guys in the band. He is by like 3-4 decades.
I didn't know he was over 40.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great example of like music influencing positively, and showing there's a change that people have done, and nobody's going to question that guy. You know, somebody like Joe Rogan isn't going to go up to Derek Green and be like, you vegans are all weak. Like, you're not a real man. You don't hunt. You don't kill elks to feed yourself. Derek would just be like, bonk. But he wouldn't do that because he's such a nice guy. He wouldn't do that, but it's still, no one would even approach him with that. And again, I see that lifestyle, and it's very enlightening to me and gives me hope and shows me, like, you're going to come across people that are willing to listen. You're going to come across people that are completely against what you're saying. And then you're going to come across people that need help and are like, I want to do this. I see there's benefits to this. I don't want all the stigma attached, because I had to learn from doing my own research, what to eat, what not to eat, and where to get the right combination of proteins to be healthy. And unfortunately, I have been on the not healthy vegan side for a long time, but I go to a doctor every year to get a checkup. My cholesterol's never been lower. Alcohol was a big thing. And Jack, we talked about this. Seeing people not drink as much, it's like an instant fix almost to your health. So that and food together are like the nemesis of our society. Like, these things really can destroy us, and we feel good overindulging with them.